Live.
There we go.
Okay.
Fantastic.
Hello, everyone. I'm Daniel Beach, Director of Marketing at NYNJA, and welcome to our first ever AMA session. With us, we've got Marshall Taplits, co-founder and Chief Strategy Officer, and David Harris, who's an advisor to the project. Guys, you want to say hi?
Hello.
How you doing? Thanks for joining.
Excellent. Thanks everyone that submitted questions on Telegram, Reddit, and Bitcoin Talk. Before we get into those, though, I think we've got a few updates for you. So to kick that off, I'd like David to start. David, give her.
Okay. Well, yeah, thanks. We've been really busy, obviously, over the last number of weeks and months, and traveling with teams all over the world to sort of share the message and tell everybody about NYNJA and what we're doing and why we're doing it. And I guess many of the people watching today understand what our vision is, but just to sort of summarize that to begin this session, we're really focused on building a global economic platform, one that is frictionless and borderless and permissionless. There are 2 billion new people joining the global digital economy by 2025, and they face barriers to entry. Many of these people are in emerging markets. They don't have CVs, they don't have formal education or accreditations, and they face barriers to entry participating in the global digital economy. There's high friction to entering and high costs and inadequate tools. So really at NYNJA, what we've done is we've taken the most advanced cloud-based communications technologies, and we've built an on-demand labor platform and a vibrant digital marketplace that's enabled by the blockchain and cryptocurrency transactions in order to provide opportunities for this 2 billion new mobile users.
Great, thank you. Okay, so with that, I want to kick off the questions. So the first of these, I think this is a good one for you, David, as well. Why did we extend the pre-sale?
Yeah, we've had a lot of activity over the last few weeks, and we have some pretty major developments in the company. So there are several reasons why we're extending the pre-sale. The first reason is due to some partnerships that we've made and announced, and some that are soon to be announced. For example, just a couple of days ago, I think the press went out that we've developed a partnership with AMGU Telecom, which is a smartphone manufacturer. And our agreement with them is to distribute the NYNJA virtual operating system on their smartphones, which are being sold to millions of users in Latin America. And we wanted to have this ready as in process as we went to the public ICO. We think that's really going to benefit the community with genuine proof of concept and validation that our operating system is indeed of demand and of value in the industry. And also to align our ICO date with the closed beta launch of the platform. So currently we're in alpha, but in August, so just six to 8 weeks away, we're actually coming out with the closed beta of the full platform. So we felt that given how close these dates were, that we should align all three of these major developments. So the launch of our partnership with AMGU and the launch of our closed beta, where contributors and serious users can access the platform and be part of our beta testing, and then of course the public ICO. So we've brought these together, and we've also been adapting our token economics to better align with the expected growth of the platform. And so all of these major developments, we thought it was sensible to extend the private sale and give our private contributors an opportunity to participate in advance of those.
Great. Okay, this is actually a great follow-up question. So how is this going to affect people that have already invested in the project?
Yeah. Is that me or Marshall?
Yeah, sorry, for you, David.
Oh, for me. Okay. Well, I think there's a number of things that are happening, and all of them, I believe, are of benefit to people who have already participated in the pre-sale. For example, the way that we've adjusted our token economics is to actually reduce overall supply. and also to introduce a deflationary mechanism that's actually going to be reducing supply over time. So our initial token economics called for NYNJA coin in the economy. We've now reduced that dramatically to 1.5 billion tokens, and we've got a schedule of burning coins down to 500 million tokens, probably within three to 5 years after launch. So that in and of itself, anybody who participated in the token sale at the 5 billion token total token supply is now getting a substantial increase in their percentage of total token distribution. So I think that's one thing that earlier pre-sale contributors are going to be very, very pleased about. Secondly, just the fact that we have penned this relationship with Amgu Telecom, and we now have a very viable path to getting distribution of the platform on millions of phones in Latin America as a first step to our global distribution strategy. Well, that I think again strengthens it just strengthens the story, and it demonstrates that there is real demand for this platform and real opportunity to get distribution and participation. So overall, I think it's very, very good news for the early contributors.
Brilliant, thank you. Okay, the next question I'll actually take is, will there be a whitelist for this project? So we are looking at building a whitelist. We haven't launched it yet, but we'll be announcing that to everybody that's subscribed. So if you haven't yet and you want to find out when that's going to happen, please do subscribe when you get a chance. The next one, this is a good one for you, Marshall. How much is the NYNJA app platform fee? Is it free? If so, will NYNJA make? How will NYNJA make money? Why are you doing it this way?
So that's a very good question. Thank you. And happy to be here. Hello, everybody. So basically, what we will have to start is an absolutely free platform. So all the communication features, all the basic functions, there's going to be so much there that is simply 100% free. So in terms of downloading it, getting to use it, and getting benefit, with the functions, that's free. Additionally, the multi-currency wallet, that's going to be probably the best wallet out there. That's going to be free, and it's not just our own NYNJA coin, it's also Bitcoin, Ethereum, and because it will be open sourced, people can add in any other tokens or any other currencies that they wish as well, and then use that in other projects. So there's a whole lot that's free. So now let's talk about the things that aren't free. The things that aren't free are people, right? When people, one of the main reasons for us to take on a project the size of NYNJA is to solve, a lot of the fundamental issues with the global economy and how people, get started in their life economically, when they're young, when they're in school, when they're getting their first mobile phone ever. And what we've come up with is a fantastic opportunity for people to earn tokens and thus cryptocurrency through the platform by performing services for other users in a peer-to-peer fashion. For example, if you're capable of being a translator or a designer or any of the types of virtual services that you're typically familiar with on other freelance networks, we've done it in a much better way, and in a way that really minimizes the time that you need to spend in order to get work. But work is not free, of course, right? People want to be paid for their work, and so we're going to be encouraging people to come on the platform and earn money actually using the platform. Now, on the other side, of course, people have demand for services. So, for example, if I need a logo designed or I need any other services done that the freelance workers on the platform will do, well, of course, then I need to pay for those services. So within that, the ecosystem of NYNJA, there's plenty of things to pay for, but the reason you're paying is because somebody else is doing something for you, and they're earning money through the platform, which is the main point.
Okay, so could we sort of set up an example? Like I'm a freelancer, I do a job. What can I expect to pay to NYNJA, or how does that work? Like, for example, on Upwork, you would otherwise have to pay somewhere in the region of 20% of what you earn, under $500, I think it is. What would I be paying out to NYNJA when I get paid?
Well, and that's exactly the question, because if you look at why is NYNJA better, because we're building on more advanced technologies such as blockchain and cryptocurrency. A lot of the things that other more traditional platforms incur high costs for, we're not going to have those costs. So, for example, we're not getting involved in fiat currency at all. So all those 3, 5, 7% that PayPal charges and all that, I mean, that's gone. We don't have a huge customer service team for checking other people's work. I mean, like if there's a charge, if somebody's not happy with the work, we have a blockchain system that assigns other people within the network to help check. And so we've basically built the system as decentralized as possible to thus minimize the cost to our company, to even provide the services at all. So if you're used to paying, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25%, you're going to be looking more at like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5%. We're going to be pushing the fees down as low as possible just to cover, the operational costs at a minimum. What we're really looking to do is to support the growth of the economy. So we're not interested in profit, I guess, quote unquote, in the traditional sense. We're not, seeing higher fees as leading to higher profits as a good thing. We see that as a negative, because what that does is that slows adoption. And a lot of the other freelance networks and a lot of the other platforms in general, anytime you could find a way to work around them, the users do, because why pay someone for something you don't need to pay? So we're building our system in a way that the fees are so low as humanly possible. That there's no point to even try and get around them, because there's not even a better way. So that's actually the ethos, and that's the goal of how we're approaching this.
Yeah, and I think that touches on another element, the how does NYNJA make money to pay for further development and so on. Could you touch on sort of the difference between NYNJA and a traditional business as it relates to the coin economy and the token economics?
Sure, and I think a lot of token-based companies, tokenized systems are slowly starting to realize all the details of how this works. Because hey, look, I mean, Ethereum's only 6, 7 years old to begin with. The whole cryptocurrency space is only 10, 11 years old. So we're learning as we go. But what's really interesting about the concept of a tokenized economy is that as long as the economy is growing, which is the main point of the business, let's say, then what you wind up being in a position more like an economist running this entire platform, as opposed to a typical kind of CEO or typical business with your quarterly reports and what have you. So if you look at our token economics, you'll see that 20% of the tokens are held within our company. There's a reason for that. The reason for that is because as the economy grows, the value of those tokens grow as well. And so because those tokens, the token value grows, that gives us an opportunity to leverage that additional resource that we have within our organization and plow that directly back into growing the economy. So in other words, it's very common for a startup to raise X number of millions of dollars or whatever, and then literally they just kind of run out of money if they haven't gotten the service revenue back, with profit enough to cover the operating costs of a company. But a tokenized economy such as NYNJA, we have a better lever, if you will, because as long as the economy is growing, the resources of the company and the reserves keep growing as well, and then we get to plow them back in. Now, one may ask, well, what happens if we just get all the tokens? Well, that's why we moved to the burn strategy as well, so that anything coming in back into the company in excess of the 20%, that we start to burn off these tokens and have a target to keep the reserves at 20%. And I think if you look at like a typical Federal Reserve or something like that of an economy, they have various mandates, right? They want to control inflation, they want to control unemployment. Well, at NYNJA we also have our mandates, right? Our mandate is full employment. Our mandate is grow the economy. Our mandate is target a 20% treasury capability. So again, there's just various different ways that a tokenized system works versus a traditional company that is the future, basically.
Cool. Yeah. Thanks. I think that leads us in, and I'm going to jump to another question down my list, actually. And this is good for you, David. What really makes the Ninja economy work? Why are investors going to buy and hang on to Ninja Coin? Like, what's the value for me as an investor?
Well, it really is about the currency, and I think that you have to view this as a currency, and as Marshall was alluding to, the fact that this is about the economy. This isn't a traditional. This isn't equity at all. You're not buying a piece of a business and theoretically own X% of that business and therefore entitled to X% of the profits. What you're really investing in, or is you're speculating that this token and the economy that's operating within is going to thrive and is going to grow. I often use the analogy of when Singapore separated from Malaysia and it was a new economy, a currency, somebody speculating on the currency might say, okay, well, what are their hard assets? What physical resources do they have? What are their soft assets? How well educated are their people? And what are their opportunities for trade? What's their monetary policy? What does their economic policy look like? And you look at it with those factors as your primary, the primary aspects that you would be examining in order to determine if this is going to be something worth participating in and investing in. And I think when you look at NYNJA and what we're building, if you believe that we're able to build a platform with the communications tools and the commercial tools, with the blockchain-enabled cryptocurrency transactions and smart contracts and reputation engine, as well as an online digital marketplace and an on-demand labor marketplace, if you believe that we're able to build that and distribute it globally and get a large enough user base that we get vibrant activity in that ecosystem, then it's pretty clear that the value of that token should therefore rise, particularly when that's the demand side. And when you look at our supply side plan to actually burn the token, so a percentage of the revenues that come into the treasury are actually going to be burned and taken out of the total money supply. And when you look at both, can we provide a great service that people want to participate in? Can we generate? Can we distribute that? Can we generate demand for the token? And what does our supply look like? We're not printing more coins or printing more currency. We're actually reducing it. So overall, the economics, I think, are sound. And therefore, anybody that's looking at participating in this because they believe there's upward value to the token would do so for those reasons.
Right. Got it. Thanks. Marshall, for you, there's a couple more questions, just a little bit more use case specific. So one is from a developer in India, and he asked, or she asked, I'm not sure, with the Ninja Coin, am I able to convert it to rupees to spend on everyday goods?
Well, okay, so it's a good question, and I think people are really trying to get their head around cryptocurrency in general, because what are these tokens useful for in my daily life? And I think if you just take a step back and you think about other currencies, for example, if you had Indian rupees and you went to travel to the United States, would those rupees be able to buy you things in the United States? And the answer is no. But that doesn't mean that rupees are not valuable, because as soon as you go back to India, then these rupees have value. So I think if you look at Ninja Coin as a foreign currency in a way compared to the Indian rupee when you're in India, then what you'll see is like, okay, these tokens have value because they have use in the Ninja platform as a utility token. We will work to provide a mechanism to be able to convert to other cryptocurrencies such as Ethereum and Bitcoin. So that's where we as NYNJA feel that by helping our users earn money earn tokens in Ninja Coin, but then being able to quote unquote get out. We believe that Ethereum and Bitcoin right now are the global standards. Each country already has a variety of mechanisms within each country, various exchanges, local people, and various services in order to help a conversion between Bitcoin and Ethereum back to local currency, in this case, such as rupees. There are some places in the world where cryptocurrency, where the regulators are still trying to get their head around what all this means. And India, I think, is one example where they're taking a more conservative approach and trying to get the rules right. So it could be possible that in the beginning that it's harder to transfer Ethereum and Bitcoin back to rupees. But from the NYNJA perspective, we will be focusing on making NYNJA coin able to be convertible to other cryptocurrencies. The actual end goal of converting back to your local fiat at this time will be left to each individual user.
Yeah. Dan, could I add to that maybe? I think that,
please, sure.
When we think about the global digital economy, which is growing 6 times faster than the traditional economy, and I think the main reason why cryptocurrencies are gaining so much interest and excitement is the fact that they are borderless. You don't have to worry about taking your rupees and going into the US, because this is operating in virtual space. This is the digital economy. So there's not that friction, there's not that border or barrier to participating. And the fact that we have a digital currency which can be converted, which is convertible into the sort of the main reserve cryptocurrencies, BTC, Ethereum, and a range of others that are ERC20 compatible, provides us with that exchange convertibility, which I think increases the sort of the use cases for NYNJA coin within the digital economy. And as Marshall suggested, we may see in 2, 3, 5 years or so a situation where convertibility into fiat currencies is available, and I think that will happen at some point. But in the near term, it's really about focusing on the digital economy, the super high growth digital economy, and the fact that there's 2 billion new people coming into this space, and we're providing them with an opportunity to earn money and to use the ideal currency within that ecosystem, and within different currencies, be able to exchange it in the digital space. So I think those are important things to keep in mind.
Yeah, good. Great. Okay, next up, also a sort of an individual use case. Hi, I'm a freelancer from HK. Can I use NYNJA in the future, but I only accept Chinese jobs? I think there's actually 2 questions in there. So from our would the sort of automation, the job automation engine, would that specify to your language or to your skill set? How's that going to work? And then I suppose the other question is, what kind of a presence are we going to have in China or Hong Kong in traditional Chinese for that matter?
Yeah, and I think this is important, and there's also some competing interesting ideas here as well. So from a fundamental human being perspective, we don't allow any sort of like racism on the platform where you can say like, oh, I only want to work with Chinese people, or I only want to work with German people or anything like that. So I mean, if that's the question, then of course we would not allow those types of filtering. However, having said that, there are times where the type of person you need is related to the job. For example, I may need a Chinese speaking person for this job because the job is.
That's what I think they're alluding to in the question. Yeah.
Right. And so if that's the question, then of course you'll be able to filter on language and things like that. There's also times where simply like maybe I need a person from Russia because the task I need, requires a lawyer who's in Russia to make an opinion on something, or I need a review of something in a certain area of the world where there's a certain expertise. So I think the ability to choose the type of person you want is very important, but we have to be careful, not to just accidentally say, oh, I only want to work with these type of people, because it's a global world out there. And then there was this follow-on question about China.
Just to carry on from there, I'll ask a follow-up in a second, but to carry on from there, like, why Could you talk a little bit more about the way that project management hiring process works, and why we're doing it that way, and to juxtapose that against the way that it happens on Upwork or Fiverr or elsewhere, with their sort of cumbersome hiring process and the ratings and the reviews and so on? Could you touch on that for a minute?
Absolutely. So, I mean, look, I love Upwork. Okay, and I've used it since it was Odesk. I'm probably in the top 10% of people who have hired on there. We've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars. I've got over 200 or 300 projects, 4.99% rating. So, I'm not here to say, that this is bad or that is bad. That's not my goal here. But I want to show that, that the technology of blockchain and cryptocurrency, it's providing new opportunities of how business can be done that weren't possible, when the last generation of platforms were built. And one of the biggest challenges that you find with platforms such as Upwork is, you've got to, if I want to get a job done, I have to take the time to post the job. Okay, seems reasonable, but it takes time. Now I have to, wait for people to apply, which takes time, and then I have to interview people, which of course takes time. And a lot of jobs on these networks, they're just small tasks. I mean, things at $50, $100, $30, for a short period of time. So the amount of time that it takes me to hire somebody on these platforms, in fact, half the time it's easier just to do it myself. So we believe that by creating an engine that auto-assigns you a worker at the exact time, what that does is actually increases jobs. It increases the number of job opportunities available, because more people will just say, oh, I need somebody for this, and I'm going to use the NYNJA platform because I can get this done quick. So first of all, I don't think that what we're doing necessarily kills other platforms. I think it just creates an unbelievably new number of jobs that would have never been possible before. On the freelance side, when you join a platform like Upwork or any other freelance network, it's very, very hard to get started. You have a 0 score, you've got no profile, you've got no portfolio, you've got no ratings and reviews. And so what people do, unfortunately, they have to, is they make up fake work, they do fake trading of jobs just to get some 5-star feedback, and they build up this profile, but it's really not true. Or certainly embellished. So again, this whole process that the buyer is going through to identify the right candidate is actually kind of what the providers are doing, is they're kind of just creating whatever it takes to get their job. So we believe that using blockchain technology, we can actually drastically improve this, and we've created an onboarding process that starts with taking basic tests in the fields that you want to work in, taking on some initial projects that are tests through the company, through our company directly to you, and then working with what we call our virtual mentorship program, which is where users with an established reputation actually check the work before the work goes to the customer. So by doing this, we allow anybody to get started on day one. We're even paying you in NYNJA coin to take the tests and to take the test projects. So basically, you don't even need to think, as you just turn on the app, and immediately you even start getting jobs. So because of our auto-assign technology that we've built, we're going to be able to increase the number of jobs in the economy drastically. We're going to be able to drive new users into the platform, as everybody wants to earn free coin by getting qualified in their space. And then as the users who are buyers of services begin to realize how quickly and easily and efficiently they can get their work done, and because NYNJA is the entire platform, we can handle all the communication. If you need to grab a call, messages, file transfers, all the infrastructure around what you need. You don't need to go out into email and this and that. And then finally, to settle payment with a smart contract. And we even have made it that the rating system, for example, like if you do a job for me, I don't rate you, you don't rate me, because of course I'm going to give you 5 stars, because if I don't, I'm afraid you're not going to give me 5 stars. So we even have mechanisms within the platform to have other people who have good ratings within the platform to do the ratings by comparing the quality of work, etc. So in essence, it's a trustless system. You don't need trust. You just know that the work gets done, and you know that you earn your money, and you know that move on. And we even have incentives for quick performance. Like a lot of people, for example, the freelancers are always, working as quick as they can, but even the clients sometimes don't get back to people for a week or something. That really pisses freelancers off because it's wasting their time. So we even have incentive mechanisms on the client side, like, hey, if you reply quicker, you're going to get a lower price because, let's not waste time. So with NYNJA, it's all about getting it done now and getting it done safely and securely.
Brilliant, thank you. Okay, so I'm going to jump to David here because Marshall's had a bit of a marathon. Brilliant, a marathon.
Sorry.
No, that's fantastic. So Dave, next one, how much interest have you guys been getting from other players in the sector? What other partners do you have for expansion?
Okay. In the sector, I'm not sure what we mean by that. In blockchain sector, we've obviously participated in a lot of events and had a lot of conversations in the sector, and certainly a lot of interest from other blockchain projects that are interested in using aspects of our platform. For example, the communications layer and features, the smart wallet, the multi-currency smart wallet, the reputation engine. So they've expressed interest, and we have some conversations about those players actually using components of our platform in their own ecosystems. And I think it's important to note that when we go live at the end of the year, we are publishing SDKs and open APIs. So those components of our platform, the smart wallet, for example, can be actually used in any other application or platform. So we're open sourcing that and making that available. So we've had interest from the blockchain space, also obviously from some of the investors in the space having a look at the project, and we're gaining quite a bit of interest there, particularly with the announcement about MGU and distribution, and also with the revised and improved token economics. In other parts, in terms of other stakeholders, there are a number of organizations and entities in sort of the future of work and in the freelance economy space that we've had conversations with. We can't really disclose too much about that at the moment, but we have a number of acquisition discussions that we're looking at in terms of acquiring different businesses, and we have some advanced conversations there with acquisitions that will allow us to actually build a fairly large user base in the millions in a complementary sector as well. So overall, I think what we have here is really unique and exciting. I think we ran into some initial challenges with people considering us just a communications app or a messenger, because really that is the first layer of the whole ecosystem that we're building. But as people get to understand that we're really building this vibrant on-demand labor marketplace and a vibrant digital marketplace for virtual goods and services, as they start to see that there are three pillars to the economy that we're building, I think the vision is becoming really clear, and that's starting to excite a lot of people.
Yeah, right, exactly. Brilliant. That you sort of touched on the SDKs and the open APIs, and I think that is going to sort of hark back to what we do from a partnership with developers and other companies. Marshall, can you touch on what that's going to look like? What is going to be open? What will these companies and developers have access to?
Right. So good question. So basically, when you're programming, for the non-programmers who are watching this, basically when you program, you have a variety of functions you can call essentially, and when you embed an SDK into your code, it's giving you more functions essentially. So if you look at what NYNJA can do, it can send messages, it can send files, it can send cryptocurrency payments, it can hire people, it can check reputations of people. There's a whole suite of services that the NYNJA platform can do, and we make those functions available within the SDK. So one thing that that may resonate with most people is I'm sure you've used like Uber. Whenever you get a ride, get a driver, it spins up a phone number, and that phone number is not really your phone number, and it's not really the driver's phone number, but it's a phone number that you can each call each other on, and there's text messaging that you can do between those. That's not built by Uber. I mean, they outsource that to a company. I don't know if they still use Twilio, but at the time that I knew it, they used Twilio. So what is Twilio? Twilio is a whole program that has a communications layer, and they have an SDK that Uber builds into their app. So when they want to kind of spin up that phone number, for you to call the driver, that number changes every time the driver gets a ride. But that number is spun up by Twilio, but it's just presented in the Uber app. So if you look at it like that, you can understand that when people are building their own applications, however they want to build whatever they want to build, they'll have access to all the features and functions basically that NYNJA has, except they'll have it in the back end like a developer, so that they can call it with however they want and use it within their own platform. So that's what SDKs do. And APIs are kind of similar, but just more, to externally connect things. So for example, if you're, on one platform and you want to call another, you can call the API. So that's really, the fundamentals of how we enable the developer community. But I think there's one important thing to note is that usually when a company provides SDKs and APIs, what they're trying to do is they're trying to create lock-in. For example, and I'm not saying that Twilio is trying to create lock-in. I mean, because they're actually pretty good, good company. But my point is that sometimes you have to make it so that that if the customer, if the programmer wanted to change to another platform, that it's much harder. And we saw this a lot, originally when people started going into the cloud with Amazon Web Services. And if you want to move to Google Cloud or you want to move to Microsoft Azure, it's very hard because you've kind of tied yourself into all their functions, and it's not portable anymore. Then came Docker, for example. Docker, allowed you to kind of create your code in an environment in a box, and and then thank God it got popular. And because it got popular, Amazon and Google and Azure had no choice but to support Docker containers. And so, now that they all support Docker containers, you can take your Docker and you can move it from Amazon to Google to Azure, and it works fine. I don't have a perfect answer, on how NYNJA is going to do this yet because it's something we're working through. But what I do want to say is it's important that when developers build on our platform, they know that our intent is not lock-in. Our intent is open platform. And we want you to build on top of NYNJA because it's great. And if you ever find something that's better than NYNJA, then we're not going to force you to stay. You're not going to have to recode everything. We're going to do everything we can to keep it open and just keep improving NYNJA. So I think that's an important thing because a lot of people who got burned with Parse, for example, Parse, everyone built, millions of people built their applications on the Parse backend, and then Facebook bought Parse and shut it down. All those people were stuck and they had no choice. Their platforms collapsed. This has happened in many times, more than people care to remember. And I think what a lot of developers are having now is SDK fatigue in a way, where like, if I build on these guys, how do I know they're going to be there? And I think with blockchain technology, we also have an opportunity to make things live beyond NYNJA. So for example, IPFS is just getting going. IPFS is distributed storage. As soon as it's really scalable and as soon as it's really cost effective, we can start leveraging IPFS as a storage option for NYNJA, which means that even if NYNJA disappeared, God forbid, one day, all your storage is still, in IPFS, which is distributed storage on the blockchain. So I think there's a lot of things we can do with the technology as it's maturing to ensure that people don't give any feeling of lock-in on the NYNJA platform, and that will make developers more comfortable developing on top of the platform and not worrying about it.
Cool. And just a quick follow up to that, when are developers going to get access to the SDKs and the APIs?
We're going to start looking for the development partners at the closed beta in August. So but it's not going to be finalized at that moment. I mean, really, in order to start building with the confidence that things aren't going to change, then the end of the year when we launch the platform. But we really, really, really want to reach out to the developer community. I mean, there's anybody who's seen the Slack plugin marketplace and the Atlassian marketplace Marketplace and Zapier, if this then that. I mean, all these platforms have had hundreds and thousands of developers building for these platforms, and we want to work with these people who have these experiences. So anybody who contacts us, if there's anything we could start doing early, and as soon as we're stable enough to make sure we're not wasting your time, we'll absolutely engage. So feel free to contact us for sure.
Cool. And with regards to, I think we in particular have an interesting monetization portion of the dev side of things that, unlike well, rather than just work, right? Rather than just pure labor and the job market, you could also be writing scripts for the platform that you could then actually monetize over the long term. Is that right? And how would that work?
Well, exactly, and yeah, we're not expecting developers to just love us and code for us for free. I mean, we're creating a global digital economy, and just like you can use your labor to do work for people to earn tokens, but you can also use your skills, your developer skills. So I mean, one example that we were just discussing the other day is how come every time somebody sends me a JPEG, I know I need to resize it into these 3 sizes. I know I need 3 resolution versions, whatever. I mean, why isn't there a script or a bot, that when I every time I send a Dave or Dan a file, you just have this script installed that it automatically does all the conversions you need and puts it in a zip file that I can download. I mean, that's a perfect example of just one thing that a developer could easily write a script to do. And in our platform, every time that script is used, you could be drip feeded with revenue. And because we're using cryptocurrency, it's not like we need to have like a once a month payment cycle to you, where if you don't hit a minimum of $50, it's not even worth sending you a check kind of thing. This can be like a utility, right? I mean, you can say, look, anybody can install this script into their chat or their group for free, and every time it's used, you get 20 cents worth of NYNJA coin automatically on the spot, based on smart contract to your wallet. So I think when developers realize that the level of access that we're going to be giving to our platform that you can integrate with developmentally, and then they realize all the types of functions that, I mean, we have a list of 70 already. And I'm sure everybody has a lot of ideas too. Once people get a taste for the recurring revenue that's happening in real time as people use their scripts and bots that they're going to be building, I think it's going to explode personally. I've also already just got a few friends who are just desperate to get on. They want to be some of the first popular scripts that people start installing, and I think it's going to be very lucrative for a lot of people.
Yeah, sounds really, really cool. Wish I could code. David, for you, what is the hard cap? So what is the new hard cap and soft cap? Okay, there are 3 questions here. So what is the hard cap and soft cap? How much has the project raised? And how did you come up with each? I suspect the hard cap and soft cap, not the project raise. Right. Could you touch on the first one and the third one?
Hard cap, soft cap?
Yeah, yes, please. And how did we come up with those numbers? Yeah. Sure.
Yeah. Well, the hard cap, we actually revised the hard cap. It was originally 112 million US dollars. And that was effectively a function of the tokens that we were distributing at the time, or the total token supply at the time, which was 5 billion tokens, multiplied by the token price at the time. We have a budget, of course, for the development and for the marketing and for basically building out the economy over the first 2 years. And what we did with our partners in looking at the economics and looking at the funding requirements is said, look, the 112 or the $120 million hard cap is high in terms of what the market is seeing now. Obviously, in 2017, there was a lot of frenzy and there's a lot of activity and a lot of companies raised a lot of money in the space, but that irrational exuberance has sort of subsided a little bit. And now I think with the entrance of some of the institutional investors into the space, we're getting a lot more disciplined. And so we've had some really good conversations with some of these very experienced institutional investors. And we had a look at what our budgetary needs are to meet our milestones, and what our budgetary needs are going to be beyond that, and what our opportunities are for capital, for capital formation. And so effectively what we said is, look, we need to be able to build out this platform and have enough budget to get the distribution that we need to hit some critical milestones: 5 million users, 10 million users, 25 million users. And that budget that we identified that allow us to get to that initial milestone of around 5 million users is about $50 million US. And so on the back of that, what we said is, okay, well, if we're able to achieve these milestones, and if we're declining token supply, and if users in the platform are starting to use NYNJA Coin for these different use cases that we have, what is that going to mean to the value of our token? And so what we did is we modeled very conservatively, I think, what the actual token price will look like over the next 2 years. And basically, we have a treasury that's holding 20% of the tokens, all right, of the total token supply. And if we model the actual treasury times what we expect the token supply to be, then we're going to have a substantial amount of reserve capital effectively to fund the company beyond that initial 2 years, beyond that initial milestone. We're going to have enough capital to continue to build out that global user base and to continue to reinvest in the economy and the ecosystem. So we decided very intentionally to lower that hard cap, number one, because it was just high. The perception was that it was high. And number two is because we can actually be more efficient with capital based on our economy and the treasury holdings and what we expect to see from the actual token value. So that's the hard cap part of the story. And the soft cap part of the story is 15 million is our soft cap. And basically what that allows us to do with that 15 million is to get to that initial milestone, to build out the platform and get the first, perhaps million users into the economy. That's going to be obviously a slower ramp up, but it's really still, because of that virtuous cycle that we have with respect to user growth and the value of the token, we're going to be able to take advantage of the treasury reserves and reinvest to get the sort of growth. It's just going to be a much slower ramp up if we're only raising the soft cap.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and that sort of leads us into another question, is how do you plan to expand your user base? And I know you touched on this before, but could you elaborate?
Sure. Yeah. So the first channel, if you will, that we're going to be distributing through, we've described already, is this partnership that we've developed with Amgu Telecom to be pre-installing our operating system on their devices and distributing those into the Latin American market as our initial geography and our initial distribution channel. Under Amgu's own brand, so direct sales of their own devices, there's about 150,000 smartphones per month that we'll be installing on. And then we've got an activation program that Marshall described earlier, which as soon as you receive that NYNJA operating system, as soon as you activate it, we're going to be rewarding you with a number of tokens, with a block of NYNJA tokens. And we're working with the telecom operators in the region to say, we're going to pre-buy some airtime, and then as soon as one of our users has the NYNJA operating system and activates it and gets NYNJA Coin, they're going to be able to use NYNJA Coin for a real world use case, which is to buy that airtime. So buy, say, 100 megabytes, 200 megabytes of airtime. And then that brings them into the platform. And then, of course, we can offer them opportunities to work. If you're a translator, if you're a graphic designer, take this test, qualify yourself, and we'll pay you for that test. If you pass the test, we'll actually give you work immediately, and you'll be earning more NYNJA Coin, and you'll be able to use that for airtime, and then some of these other services as we're developing the digital marketplace and the apps, etc. So that's the first channel, and that's the first way that we're going to be onboarding users into the ecosystem and getting them to be participating in the ecosystem. The next level of that is working with similar smartphone manufacturers that are distributing into other regions. We've already developed some of those initial conversations, and we understand that space fairly well and have relationships in that space. So taking that same model and moving into India, Russia, Africa, and some other emerging markets initially as our target market. So that's the smartphone pre-install strategy. There's also an opportunity to do firmware over-the-air updates to mobile phones that are currently in the market. That requires some discussion with the telecom operators just to make sure that our operating system meets their quality requirements, which we're convinced that it certainly will. And that's another opportunity to distribute the NYNJA operating system directly onto those phones that are already in the market. We expect over the next 2 to 3 years that we'll be able to have another 3 to 5 million users that we're engaging with in that way. And then, Marshall.
Oh, sorry. No, I was going to just add something about university students, but go ahead, finish.
Sure. So that's sort of the initial channel, and then we've got another channel development, which is actually through the telecom operators themselves, and offering them an opportunity to install the NYNJA operating system on the devices that they're distributing through their channels. And for both the smartphone manufacturers and for the telecom operators, offer them not just a pre-install fee or an activation fee, but in addition to those two things, offer them a benefit of the revenues that are occurring within our ecosystem based on the users that they bring in and activate. So instead of them, for example, as a smartphone manufacturer, just selling a device in an industry that has rapidly, declining margins in a very competitive industry, we're able to offer them a long-term recurring revenue stream, which is very attractive to them, and similarly with the telecom operators. So that's the initial channel. And then, as Marshall suggested, we have very well-defined demographics of who we believe is going to really need and benefit and want to participate in this global digital economy. University students and millennials are obviously key demographics for us, as well as new mobile users in emerging markets. And so there's a sort of a more traditional global marketing strategy and communication strategy that is targeting those demographics specifically. And Dan, as you would be better positioned to address specifically what those strategies are, but I'd say that those are the main channels that we're going after immediately, which is smartphone manufacturers, pre-install, telecom operators, and that distribution through their channels, and then a traditional marketing into those key demographics.
Yeah, I'd love to riff on marketing here, but we're running out of time. So we've got 8 minutes left. So I'd like to get one more question to Marshall, and Marshall, if you could keep it to kind of two minutes or so, and then I want to address a couple of YouTube questions from the live audience. So for Marshall, why doesn't one of the existing companies out there just do this, like Upwork or LinkedIn? What do we have, or what can we do that they don't?
Yeah, I think so. Look, bless you, Dan. For some reason, most companies are not able to pivot toward the new. It's human nature. We've seen it with Kodak, and a million other companies. Sure. Hey, look, there are some companies that manage to reinvent themselves. Microsoft is one of them. Adobe is one of them. So there are companies that it's possible to reinvent yourself. But having said that, it takes time, a lot of time. And it really requires support at the highest levels of the management in the company, and it requires that people within the organization, are all on board and have the knowledge. What we're building from the ground up is a blockchain-driven mentality, right, within our company. Every single person in our company, every single person we hire, is excited about what blockchain can do and what the future of cryptocurrency is and the positive impact that NYNJA is going to bring, to the world. And so we all have a fire, under us to get it done. When you have a large company that has a legacy code base, existing regulatory issues, financial restrictions in terms of where they can send money, a dependence on fiat currency, and just all these things, It's not that they can never get there. It's just that it's really, really hard. So, you know, if they get there eventually, that'd be great. But we'll be there, you know, by the end of the year. And I just don't think that anyone, you know, of any significant size can turn on a dime, you know, as quickly as we can just get to the finish line on our first shot.
Exactly. Disruption theory 101. Okay, so I'm gonna jump into a couple of YouTube questions here from Mr. Murali. When you finish, is Ninja Coin accepted globally as cryptocurrency? I guess, Marshall, you want to take that one?
Sure. Well, I think that, you know, is it a cryptocurrency? Yes, it's a cryptocurrency because as soon as we create it, it's a cryptocurrency. Where it is accepted, it will be accepted within the Ninja platform on day one, and the Ninja platform will be global on day one. So from that perspective, that yes, Ninja Coin will be accepted globally within the Ninja economy on day one. In terms of will Ninja Coin be available to buy coffee at Starbucks, you know, everywhere in the world? No, that's not what we're building here. So I think if the question is, will we be a global platform with a global cryptocurrency? The answer is yes. Great.
Okay. And another question from Arnolfo Quijoy. I hope I said that right, and if I didn't, I'm very, very sorry. So why is the number of tokens accomplished not visible on the ICO page?
I think what he may be referring to. Do you understand the question, or because
I suspect he's referring to why don't we have the existing capital raise against the hard cap or number of tokens?
Right. I thought that was the question. Yeah, so because we're still in the private sale, we're not, you know, keeping that information public yet. But what we'll do is, as we approach the public sale, we'll be updating it to show how far we got in the private, so that everybody understands how much we've raised so far and how many tokens are left for the public crowd sale. So so that will be updated as the public sale gets closer. But during the heart of the private sale, companies don't really, you know, share that information typically.
Yeah. And when do we expect that to occur? Just so everybody has a sense for.
Well, currently the public ICO is slated for August 15th. So you know, we'll probably be a few days before that, and then we'll, you know, during our preparations.
Okay. And this is probably going to be our final question. A bit more lighthearted. How did you end up deciding on the name NYNJA?
Well, it's kind of funny. So originally, you know, we grew. Okay, I grew up with like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle time, right? You know, so a ninja in American culture who can kind of get anything done, and you know, it's a good guy. It's like you have a Swiss Army knife almost at your disposable and at your you know, at your just whatever the word is, at your disposal to be able to accomplish any goal, right? And we really wanted people to feel that when they have the Ninja app and they're part of the Ninja ecosystem, that they're, you know, enabled and they hold a power that most people don't have. Because of their ability to communicate, you know, transact, commerce, earn a living, you know, get work done. And so you feel like a ninja. On a lighter note to that, you know, 2 of the 3 co-founders are from New York and New Jersey. And we say, well, that's perfect. It's New York, New Jersey. So props to where we grew up as well.
Brilliant. Awesome. Okay, thank you, David. Thank you, Marshall. Thank you, everybody. For joining our first ever AMA. We're going to have lots more of these, we promise, especially as we run up to the new ICO date. Don't forget, we're always active, including the founders and us on the executive team on Telegram, on Facebook. So go ahead and join those conversations. We'll drop all of those links in the description below the video, or at least pin it to the comment, I suspect. And if you've got any feedback on the AMA, please leave your comments right next to the live chat feature. And if we haven't addressed your question, please also just put that to the top, and we'll see if we can't swing back around and either answer it in the comments or answer it in our next AMA. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, guys. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Appreciate it.